Some meetings need a few rules to keep them on track. Not every meeting will need ground rules, but sometimes you will want to set ground rules. So in this video, I want to look at some of the ground rules you could set in your next meeting. Number 1, you may want to talk about confidentiality. What's said in this meeting stays with the people in this meeting. Be clear about any ground rules that refer to confidentiality. This is usually the single most important ground rule that you might want to set. Number 2, note-taking. If you expect people to make their own notes, or if you've got an appointed note-taker, you may want to make that clear. Number 3, should never be necessary, but far too often it is, and it's to remind people of the need for respect for everyone in the room and to suggest courtesy in the way we relate with one another. Number 4 is that people should stay engaged with the meeting and avoid distractions like playing with their phones, their laptops, their devices. Yes, some people use them for note-taking. Yes, it may be necessary for somebody to look something up in order to contribute. But those should be the only legitimate uses. If someone's expecting an urgent phone call and they receive it, make sure they know that they should step out of the meeting before starting the conversation. Number 5, you may want to set expectations around participation in the meeting and contribution. Something like, we're all here to participate and contribute. I will expect everyone to make contributions when called upon, and I'll see it as my responsibility to make sure everyone gets an opportunity to say what they need to say. Number 6, it's sometimes necessary to remind the group, probably because it's really only necessary to remind 1 or 2 people, to think before they speak. And related to that, number 6 is to suggest that when people make a contribution, they are concise. They say no more than they need to, and they say it once only. Number 8, and related to that, is ask people not to repeat something that's already been said just for the sake of speaking and making a contribution. Number 9, one person speaking at any one time, and only one person speaking at any one time. If someone's contributing to the conversation, then no side conversations, please. Number 10, remind people that when we're having a discussion, they should stay relevant to the discussion we're having. That's not to say we can't introduce points out of left field that are related to the discussion, but don't start a new topic under guise of one that we're talking about. Number 11, I sometimes like to remind people that the best way to contribute is to give the headline first. Yes, when we read stories, or when we listen to jokes, the key bit comes at the end. The murderer is revealed in the last chapter. The punchline comes at the end of the joke. But meetings aren't novels, and they certainly shouldn't be jokes. People want to assess the value of your contribution and how they should pay attention to it and where they should file it in their memory as quickly as possible. So giving the headline up front is usually the best way to structure a meeting contribution. Number 12, if you don't agree with what you're hearing, then challenge the ideas, challenge the evidence, challenge the logic, but don't challenge the person. Keep it about the issues, keep it about the ideas. Don't personalise anything, because that's disrespectful and it leads to a poor meeting culture. 13. I often like to ask people to be generous about volunteering for contributions, volunteering for actions after the meeting. If something needs to be done and we decide it's going to be done at the meeting, then make sure that people are ready to put their hands up and take their fair share of the work that follows from the meeting. And finally, number 14, remind people that if they do commit to doing something, then they must do their follow-up. There's no point in saying you'll do something at a meeting and everyone else thinking that's fine, it's in good hands, and then you letting the meeting down. So there you have it. 14 ideas for things that might go into your ground rules at the start of a meeting. You won't always need ground rules, and you certainly shouldn't need all 14 of them, otherwise it just becomes a big old thing. Select the ones that are relevant to your meeting and express them in as light a way as you can, but in as formal a way as is necessary. Please give us a thumbs up if you like this video. There's loads more great management courses content to come, so please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any of it. I'll see you in the next video, and in the meantime, keep learning.